What's going on, everybody? I'm AJ. You see Ryan. It's been a while since we've seen Ryan, but with the news we've got in the last couple days, we thought it'd be a good idea to get out there and basically talk about some of the memories we have with Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. Terry Funk, unfortunately, yesterday, and then Bray Wyatt today. Um, I'm heartbroken mostly for Bray. Like I've grown up as a wrestling fan with Bray, but going back and seeing Terry and ECW and with what Ryan was getting me into the all the oldie stuff, I was really starting to enjoy it. Like him and Mick Foley with all the chairs getting thrown into the ring is still one of my favorite spots to ever see. But right now, I'm gonna send it over to Ryan and let him kind of talk about it and give his thoughts on Terry Funk.
Thanks, AJ. Yeah, this last 2 days have sucked. Um, I was actually in the middle of eating dinner tonight when I saw the post for Bray. Terry Funk is a true. You could put him in the top four if you're gonna make a Mount Rushmore of this business, which is really hard to do because everybody has their own opinions. Of the top four, if you really sit back and think about it, you could put him in that argument all the time. Just his ability to work. Terry was one of those guys that could make you absolutely hate him. He was such a good heel. In the mid '80s and stuff. That's where I was introduced to him. I actually got introduced to Terry Funk through two movies, pretty well known, Roadhouse and Over the Top. They were my introductions to Terry Funk because I didn't get Southern wrestling as a kid. But the more and more I watched, then I realized he did have a run in WWF in the mid '80s, late '80s against Hogan. He was managed by Jimmy Hart. Um, he was one of those guys that can make you hate him, but then in the middle of the match, just out of nowhere, like he would take like a turnbuckle spot or like a headbutt. Like his main feud in WWE was Junkyard Dog. Um, he would take a headbutt from Junkyard Dog and he would oversell it that it would just make you laugh at. Um, the hardcore stuff, that's what Terry's gonna always be known for. Middle aged and crazy. That was it's hard to believe when you think about it, but they were calling him middle aged and crazy in 1999.
Yeah,
And for him to be 79, I know his health got real bad. I know he was kind of more leaning on the wheelchair, more confined to a wheelchair now, but the amount of torture that he put his body through in the hardcore matches explains. I believe I haven't watched it in a while, and I think we'll do a watch along with it one time of the Beyond the Mat documentary. He
hmm
talks about how he has no cartilage in a hip, his hips are bad, his knees are bad, and this was 1999, and I think he wrestled up until the 2010s.
oh wow.
Um, he was just fun to watch. Him and Flair in the '80s were fun. He was I know. I think Hogan and Harley Race were the first ones to use a table on TV, but Terry's beatdown of Flair and putting him through the table in WCW stands out more than Harley and Hogan. Um, but he was just fun to watch, no matter what he was doing, because he he just you could tell he was in love with it and he had fun doing it.
Yeah, and I can't wait to go back and watch some of those matches, watch some of those moments that you just highlighted. Because as I said before, us getting really into wrestling as of the last, I don't know, at least me, as of the last like 6 months, like really getting into it to the point where we're launching Wrestling with Nerds. But you know, then you come across to about, I don't know, 5 o'clock tonight, and you get the Triple H tweet, and you're like, did I read that right? Because I always thought IRS was in failing health. I wasn't expecting Bray Wyatt to to pass. It's I'm still shocked. I'm still very very not there right now with it. Um, but let's go back over to Ryan and Brian. Talk about Bray Wyatt,
Well, I think just to correct you there, they don't think it was IRS that's in bad health. It was Barry Windham, who's
the grandfather.
Was Wyndham's uncle.
Oh, okay.
Uh, he wrestled in NWA and WCW and all that stuff. Um, no, I don't think it's sunk in yet either. Unfortunately for me, I get to get in a truck by myself and drive for the next 8 hours, so I'll get to contemplate a little bit more. Um, it's eerily. I guess it lets you know exactly how much precious everything is when somebody your own age passes away. When you think, I mean, there's no chance of that, or that shouldn't
Yeah.
happen. Um, I did hear that he was fighting some kind of life-threatening illness. That's why he was out of the ring after Rumble. Um, well, of course, that'll probably come to light more often, or in the coming weeks and days. But um, I, if people really sit back and think about this, as much as people were Bray Wyatt fans, and I was an optimist as a Bray Wyatt fan because I felt like he was going to a spot where only one other person could go to. And I've had this discussion with you. With the supernatural stuff,
Mhm.
the Undertaker route. If people sit back and think about that, we're most likely never gonna see a supernatural storyline, at least in WWE in professional wrestling, ever again.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna take a lot for somebody to come in and replace what Taker did and what Bray started. The sad part, the more part of it that's sad, of course, with the family and everything, we all are on that same path. But the part that's more upsetting is now he didn't get to finish the story.
No,
And
it didn't
that's
feel like he
gonna
got started. It just felt like we were at like the we haven't even started climbing the mountain of that story. We're literally at base camp, and it. I don't know. I don't know, Ryan. It's
yeah, for sure. I mean, we were all all enticed with the white bunny and all of that stuff. And then he showed up and everybody was into it and everybody wanted to see where this character was going to go. And it was his character. I mean, I've seen multiple reports where he had the creative of this. So we were seeing where this Wyatt 6 or Wyndham 6 was headed and everybody was thrilled with it. I know it kind of tapered off for Rumble and people were kind of disappointed with it.
Mhm.
The LA Night matches, it wasn't terrible to be honest with you.
no, I didn't think
But
so. I thought it was.
um
I thought it was cool. I wish we were able to see it a little bit more, but the glow in the dark stuff was pretty cool. The blackout match.
yeah, it's just it's one of those things. It's almost they put it in a different term. It's and you know it hits home for me really bad, but it's almost a Sean Taylor situation.
Okay.
Given the deaths are completely different, but you didn't get to see the fruition of what this man's story was going to be, and I feel like we would have been amazed by the things that he was planning on doing or they were gonna do with this character. His in-ring work as a big man was unbelievable, and you could put him in that big man category because of his size. I enjoyed him as Husky Harris before, as much as that one got ridiculed for. I mean, the what was it? The Ferrari engine in a battle tank. That was awesome. Um, and then he came out with the Wyatts, and it's hard to believe there's only one Wyatt family member left.
Yeah. It's,
We've lost Brody, and now we've lost Bray, and all that's left, and I don't mean it in a negative, but all that's left is Eric, and
yeah.
he's on AEW, and good for him. And he has to feel this has to be a like a Von Erich type feeling for him, being the last one left of that clique of that group.
Yeah.
Um,
It surprised me with Brody, and then and now Bray.
and it and I mean I'm not jumping to speculations, but if he had an illness, it's weird that not weird as in like a conspiracy thing, but it's just weird that both of these guys are taken out by health issues.
Yeah.
Not drugs, not alcohol, but a health issue. It's just weird, and but it's one of those things that happen in life, and now now it's going to be a lot of reflecting and a lot of Bray Wyatt memories, and I mean the whole build up to with him and Daniel Bryan when the whole Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt family, then turned on him
So good.
was fantastic.
I remember that
Um,
cage match when he strips out of where
yeah,
Daniel Bryan strips out of the jumpsuit and just in my living room popping hard.
yeah. The I I wasn't such a big fan of the Fiend and the Uncle Howdy characters, but I was gonna watch it and be entertained with it. I like the Cape Fear Bray more
Hmm.
because it was that whole psychotic laughing at you, but I'm gonna wipe you off the face of the earth type mentality that made that character pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the build of the story, and I feel like the plan was for that story to be as long as the Bloodline story is, where we were gonna have to wait, and that's what makes it back to being pro wrestling and making you have to wait for it. I think was gonna be the payoff of we'll give you a little bit here and a little bit there, not quite enough for you to figure out what we're gonna do. But we're gonna get you thinking we're gonna go one way, and we can flip it on you if we wanted to. Um,
I mean, one of your favorite wrestlers said it perfectly. Just when you think you found the answer, I changed the question.
exactly. And Bray was a student of the game. You can't be a third generation wrestler like The Rock, which we've seen his tweets, which is it's amazing how a guy can be so Hollywood, but he doesn't forget where his roots are at.
Yeah.
But you can't be a third generation wrestler in this business and not learn something from the generations beforehand. And that's what makes was gonna make this whole thing good is Bray had the ability to make you wait for it and want you to wait for it, and you were okay to wait for it.
Yeah.
Um, he had a title run. It was not the greatest thing, but it was a title run. It was. I mean, I know a lot of people wanted it a lot more and a lot quicker and a lot everything else, but he was the world champ going into a WrestleMania. As far as that goes, with that story with him and Orton, the house, the when they burned the house down,
I thought that was cool.
that was good. The only thing was the video of the earthworms on the ring kind of made everybody nauseous, but
Yeah, they kept going to that
it's
shot and just looking down.
yeah.
Not a fan of that shot.
It just sucks. These last 2 days, I know our buddy TJ. He was like, "Well, who's the third?" Because everybody knows that it happens in threes. And I quickly responded after we forgot about Iron Sheik earlier this year.
Yeah.
I don't think I could deal with another one. To be
No.
honest with you, not this quick. Back to back days, we lose a longtime legend, and you could put him in that patriarch realm of professional wrestling, and then you got Bray Wyatt, who was just scratching the surface of his abilities, and could have took us on an adventure that would have been long lasting and fun. I'm sure we've had the discussion. We're building to do our own podcast here of wrestling. We're going to spotlight superstars. I would have a hard time feeling that Bray and the Funker won't be on that list
Yeah.
of spotlighted wrestlers and breaking down their career and everything. And that'll be fun. That'll give us a time to reminisce where we're a little more clear headed and have time to indulge what their layout of work was and just take it in and enjoy it for what it is. Um, it just sucks.
It very much sucks. Like I got back out to the car and I saw the post, I saw the tweet. and I was like, no, no. And then I saw it confirmed, and then confirmed, and just I. It's been a tough couple hours because you have some people that are like, we don't, they're celebrities, but the way you follow their stories, the way you've watched them grow in front of you, you feel like you're a part of their world. And I know you probably felt like that with Terry and Bray, me so more with Bray. But dude, it sucks. It really sucks, and I think tonight I might throw on a couple of his matches just to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, if I can provide anything for anybody, it's I'll give you a few matches that I would go and watch. For Terry, it's definitely I'm gonna say it's 88, 89. It's Flair and Funk. I believe it's a Clash of Champions. I could be wrong. I don't have it in front of me. Um, it's a very good match. I believe it's an I Quit match. Um, very good telling. Um, Another one for Terry would be the very first ECW pay per view. He wins the ECW world title in a match with, I believe it's Sabu and Sandman. It's a very good match. Um, and then you go on a fun one, and it's just fun because of what happens in the match. I can't remember. It's a late WCW pay per view, so it's a blur for most wrestling fans, and it may even be a Nitro, but it was a hardcore match between Terry Funk and Chris Candido. And in the match, they end up going out back. I believe they're at like a arena that had a rodeo or is having a rodeo going on, and they end up in a pin with a horse. And Terry pal drives Candido behind the horse, and just as he finishes pal driving him, the horse kicks Terry in the arm, and he no sells it. And Terry picks up a trash can, and I think the camera pans away to what Candido's doing, and I think if I've heard the stories right, Terry laid out the horse or laid it into the horse thick with the trash can. Um, but they're fun matches, and that's what Terry's matches were. They they were serious in the early years, and then in the got in the later years, they were just fun to watch. Because you're like, how much can this guy take before he falls apart? And I don't think he fell apart until yesterday, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
For Bray, the early the early Wyatt family stuff in NXT is pretty good. Um, I mean, you could go to his WrestleMania matches. His WrestleMania match with Taker is pretty good, with both of them being hurt.
Even the
His
COVID year with Cena.
Yeah, his match with COVID or with Cena, and then the whole Randy Orton build, the whole story of the Randy Orton joining the Wyatt family just to burn it down and take the world title from him in WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably my favorite part of the Wyatt family, next to Daniel Bryan tricking them, thinking he was joining because he fit in so well with his goat beard and everything. But that's what I can offer. My condolences to both sets of family,
And the
to the
wrestling family.
wrestling family and community. Of course, I know a lot of there's sometimes we're all negative and can't stand each other, and other times we come together on times like this. I wish it was more of coming together on happier happier moments, but it always seems to be when we lose somebody, everybody comes together. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, thoughts and prayers with their families, and um, yeah, it'll take me a couple of days to reflect and get through this one, these two at least.
All right, everybody. Uh, thank y'all for tuning in. I know it was kind of last second us putting this up, but thank you to everybody tuning in. Thank you to everybody chatting in the chat. We really appreciate it, and I got nothing else. Ryan, thank you for coming on with me.
No, thank you. I know I messaged you like 20 minutes ago and said, "Hey, let's just do this." So it works. I'm looking forward to doing more podcasts with you, getting this wrestling one going, spotlighting, and I would say these two would be in our first 10.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. Check it out. It's coming soon.
All right, everybody.
Have fun.
Y'all have a good night.